Wait a second. Wait, there we go. All right. So hang on just a second. John, hear you there. Good morning. It's a Wall Pass Wednesday. So obviously, it's already off the rails and no real surprise. So welcome to Wall Pass Wednesday and welcome to Soccer's morning show, Soccer Down Here. John, hear you there. Tyler Pilgrim coming up at 9:15. We'll go over the reminder that now that we have folks that are back in the middle, that we're going to have new rules that we got to kind of keep an eye out for. We'll get a refresher for that. And apparently IFAB is now also looking at another rule having to do with keepers. And it was something that Jason and Maddie and Jarrett got to see firsthand at the Fraction with MLS Next Pro and Atlanta United 2 and Philadelphia Union 2 last time out. So we'll get into that. Dale Johnson from ESPN with all the details on that. So we've got Open Cup to talk about. We've got all the news of the morning. We've got Champions League, Tyler Pilgrim at 9:15. All of the things. Technically, that is the official way of saying it. All the things, and so it'll be another fun show. Hang on just a second. Have a great batch of calls. All right. Okay. So getting into Open Cup last night. And once again, thanks to our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps. I'm still working on the sign, by the way. I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I make this work? Considering that the sign in and of itself, I need to have some kind of backing. I need to have some kind of backing that's attached to this, so that way it doesn't like drift and fall and just kind of stumble all over the place, kind of like it did on Monday and Tuesday. Yeah, so I've got to figure out a way to get some kind of backing. Maybe like some foam or some cardboard or something. So this is our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps. And all right, so I'm going to do something kind of risky. All right, here's our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps. Once again, thanks for being great partners here at SDH. And there's your QR code with our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps. And if you are looking for nursing as a possible career, right there, hit the QR code. How'd you hear about us? When you hit the QR code, you go, Soccer Down Here. That's how I heard about you. And so that is our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps. And thanks for being great partners with SDH. Morning, Alex. Open Cup last night. There were, I think it was round of 30, it's 5 or 6 or 7. How many matches were there last night? You had a handful tonight. You had a handful last night, and there's going to be more tomorrow. Tonight, 3, 4, 5. You had 5 today, so that means that there are 11 today. We'll get into that part of the preview. Cup set, Charlotte Independence in PKs knocked off our buddy Michael Parkhurst's Rhode Island FC 5-4 in PKs after going to 4-4 at the end of 90 and at the end of 120. So they go to PKs. Charlotte Independence out of League One knocks off the USL Championship Club on the road. So official cup set, even though it's just one level below. Greenville and Lou City at Lynn Family. Lou City last night won 3-1. Michigan Stars and Detroit City at Keyworth. Great pictures, by the way, out of Keyworth. No real surprise considering how crazy the fans at Detroit City are. Knocking off Michigan Stars. That one was 1-0. New Mexico United at Rio Rancho beat the Lubbock Matadors out of the NPSL 3-1. And Oakland Roots. It took them a while. It took Oakland Roots the extra 30 to knock off our friends at El Farolito, our favorite Mexican restaurant in the San Francisco Bay Area. So El Farolito out of the NPSL makes it to this round of 32, and they lose to Oakland Roots at CSU East Bay last night, very, very early this morning. 2-1 the final in added extra time. So matchups today, we'll get into them coming up a little further down the road, and we'll let you know what's going on with Open Cup. Like I said, we had Champions League. We got all the rules and things like that. So Dell is in this morning. And obviously, Dell, looking at being the USL Championship guy that he is, hanging out the South Carolina guy as well. So that's why he says he was rooting for Greenville, and Greenville lost to Lou City last night. Justin Miram played for Michigan in the previous round. Let me see if he ended up getting minutes last night in the matchup. But yeah, that was the interesting part with Justin Miram. So into the round of 32 with the winners there. I'm trying to see if there was a lineup posted for Devin Amu-Mensah. Wow. I mean, these are a lot of, Stars brought out a lineup that included Justin Meram and Harrison Awful. So Justin Meram and Harrison Awful were a part of that Michigan Stars lineup, and you had a 2-minute smoke delay. A 2-minute smoke delay because of the Northern Guard did last night. So a 2-minute smoke delay followed after the goal with Maxi Rodriguez. So you got to be careful with those things. Abdul Jope in Detroit City. So now I'm intrigued. I'm really intrigued now. So hang on. Let me see if I can find out what the lineups were for this one last night before we bring in Tyler and Maddie here at 9:15. So let's see. So I go. So I'm going. This is, like I said, we're workshopping this, and it is rolling through in real time. And I know this makes for fantastic audio, but it's opening kickoff and pretty much anything goes. So scrolling down to our friends at SofaScore, and as we continue to workshop this, that's USA. So Open Cup. This is the thing about SofaScore. I love SofaScore because of the numbers that they provide, but at the same time, you've got to go like search, and it's like you're hitting all of these different things, and it takes a little while to get to where you're going. Okay, Detroit City and Michigan Stars. Okay, well, they each had a red in the matchup. So, okay, lineups for our friends at Detroit City. I don't want league info. I just want the lineups. I just want to see the lineup. That's all I want. I don't think I'm asking for much. Like all these pop-ups and blocks and things. Devin Amu-Mensah at the back. Abdoulaye Diop. For those of you that remember Atlanta United 2, he got the start last night. Maxi Rodriguez. Okay, so getting the start for Michigan Stars, Justin Meram, Harrison Awful, and on the bench for Michigan, I'm trying to see if there's anybody else that we know. Nope, just those two. So it was Harrison Awful and Justin Meram, just those two. It was promoted to me that it was like star-studded lineup, a lot of old players from Major League Soccer, and you sit there and you look at it, it's like Justin Meram and Harrison Awful. Okay, so Justin Meram and Harrison Awful. Harrison Awful ended up with a 7, according to our friends at SofaScore. Justin Meram had a 6.9 before he got subbed out, and Detroit Stars make their way through. So, yes, Matt Sheldon for Detroit City as well. Dell wants to know why Justin Meram might be playing at that level. I think that, and so David, I think, is part and parcel to the idea. So, being attached to that area first and foremost, you still want to play, you still want to get reps, those kinds of things that are a part of all of this discussion. And if Michigan Stars and NISA are sitting there going, yo, Justin, you can maybe show up a day or two. You don't have to train as much as you used to, kind of give us a feel for what's going on. I don't know what the terms are for Meram to be a part of what's going on with Michigan Stars. But as Michigan Stars get into NISA, we'll find out, is Justin continuing to play, or was this just something where they brought Meram and Harrison Awful out of the bullpen just for Open Cup run? And it's like, yo, dog, you're on, do what you want to do. We'll be right here if you need us, kind of a thing. So we'll see. We'll see what's up with Justin Meram. But yeah, Justin Meram and Harrison Awful in the Open Cup last night for NISA's Michigan Stars, and they came up short in the smoke-filled environs of Keyworth Stadium in Hamtramck, Michigan, in the loss for Detroit City. So Detroit City moves on to the next round. Michigan Stars gets back to NISA, and we'll see where it is from there. Technically, officially, without the intro, that was opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching. However you are watching us this morning, you could be on the YouTubes, could be on Twitter, or it could be on the or X, or whatever you want to call it, the 280 character app, or on our favorite Twitch here. Once again, use that QR code. Go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Click on it. Use the code soccer down here 15. You get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10% reinvested in youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right, so it's 9:15. I filibustered enough, which means one thing. It's now time for Tyler and for Maddie to drop in. And Matty Cruz on the ones and twos, and Tyler, first and foremost, obviously, we have to bring you in as we always do. What is the mug this morning, and what is in said mug, sir?
I have a good one this morning. It's
Okay.
brand new. It's
Uh-oh.
brand new, nice and shiny.
Okay.
It's our own mug.
Oh.
I know.
Ooh.
And then look how conceited we are.
The headshots. The headshot.
And it's mocha coffee.
Okay, so then obviously the follow-up question that is a part of the promo of said of said ceramic, sir. How does an individual get said coffee mug so they can share their mochas and adult beverages and mommy water,
Just
things like that?
Well, yeah, it depends on what time of day it is, because we do have a beer glass on there too. But I can show you that one as well. Look, I'm just like a walking advertisement this morning.
Wait, no, that never happens in our industry. Come on, now. Hey, dude, I got Scarves off to the side, and I look on the other side of this door. I've got Scarves. I've got our Marshall Island Scarves, and we got gear on our own page. So trust me, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep. No, scarvesandspikes.com. You click on the little shop button up there at the top, or you can go straight to the Scarves and Spikes Etsy page. Just the same link, take you to the same place, and we got all of our stuff.
Have an Etsy page?
Yeah. We were trying to figure out the best way to do like the merch, and we went back and forth with a lot of things, and cost prohibitive things happen.
Understood. I get that.
Yeah. So
I
Etsy works, and it's doing the job so far.
Okay. So so you too can get your beer stein or your coffee mug to put in whatever beverage you wish when it comes to showing your support for Scarves and Spikes. Now, the larger question, I know that some folks ask, what about the lid? What is the lid on the Etsy page as well?
It is. And there's multiple color variations as well. You got this one. You have like I don't have one with me, but the actual baseball hat instead of like the flat bill or whatever.
Yeah.
Hoodies, shirts, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, just checking. So now that now you guys have gone full promo and full gear run. So no, no, dude. It is all about showing support for the colors. I completely and totally understand that. And congratulations, by the way, now that you are getting all of this gear together and
thank you,
making sure that everybody wants to sit there and show their support for Scarves and Spikes. See, now if you did like a lid and you just had like an N like right in the middle, like a black baseball cap with the N, and it's just golden spikes, or it was like Scarves and something
that's
like
a good
that.
idea. I might have to steal that one from you.
No. It's not stealing. That is such an ugly word.
Reappropriate.
Yes, repackaging and that kind of a thing. But no, glad you guys are hitting the merch trail when it comes to all of this stuff.
Thank you.
A couple days we've had the chance to kind of sit there and look back before FC Cincinnati comes to town, and we were told, by the way, yesterday that Philadelphia Union players, and I'm going to have to go for a little bit here because this is a long paragraph. Philadelphia Union players Kai Wagner, Alejandro Bedoya, Daniel Gazdag, Jack McGlynn, Quinn Sullivan, and Julian Carranza have all been fined, and the club and its manager, Jim Curtin, have gotten mass confrontation warnings for swarming the referee at the end of their match in Atlanta on Sunday. So you've got that came from the league office after what happened on the weekend, where the unioned, and it was what it was. And so now that you've had a couple days to kind of decompress and look back at it, what else sticks in your mind? Heavy side of start. Yeah. Wow.
We could do an entire show about the refereeing decisions. At the end of the day, I don't know that any of that could be attributed. I mean, look, I'll throw it out there. Mm-hmm. The throw in, whatever, take it for what it's worth.
Right.
You got to defend better on a throw in. It's as simple as that. So, it can go both ways. Philly, they probably had a right to be a little frustrated that the whistle was blown when it was. I don't care. It's Philly. Jose Martinez should have been sent off in the first half for throwing a hissy fit and throwing the ball 50 yards after giving up a free kick. Those things all aside, we'll get that out of the way.
Yes.
Atlanta just, to boil it down into one simple thing, they just switched off eerily similar to some of the moments last year, which sucks to see. But I don't think it's a symptom of like a bigger problem. I think it was just you have inexperience. I don't want to say inexperience because Luis Abram is not inexperienced, but you have that pairing of Abram and Noah Cobb at the back.
Yeah.
And I think Noah Cobb's been playing so well that it's easy to forget his age, and he's so athletic, right? He's such a good center back already, and he has so much more potential to unlock.
Yeah.
But you go back to the first goal, and Edwin Mosquera makes the pass.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people have been trying to put a lot of this on Mosquera. Like, you go back and watch the entire sequence.
Yeah.
That man did so much work from the right wing all the way over to like the left side of midfield just to try to make something happen. And then he just plays a rough pass.
And he played it into open space. And unfortunately, he was trying to create something. He was up against the touchline. Yep. Philadelphia likes to use the touchline as an extra defender to pin you in. Mosquera, I imagine, out of his peripheral vision, sees an open space, and he's trying to keep possession, leaning it into that open space. Unfortunately, it was open space, and the only two individuals there were Brad Gazan and Michael Ua.
Yep. And then, you kind of – I don't know that Noah Cobb could have done much more in that situation. I think he maybe could have been switched on a little quicker because it looked like everybody, Almada was over there throwing his hands up for a throw in. Yeah. And I think that kind of switched maybe a couple of people on the other side of the pitch off. And so Noah Cobb is kind of walking back, and then Brad Guzan gets stuck in the middle of no man's land. And yeah, it was a rough situation.
Yeah.
So after that though, you hope that you kind of get knocked in the face and you realize, oh, hey, we still have another 20 minutes left to play. We need to get this together. Yeah. And unfortunately that did not happen. And then it almost happened in a worse way where they gave up a third one. Thankfully, it was offside by like 9 3/4 inches.
9 3/16 inches, according to some on social media.
Whatever it was. So I say all that to say, it was a very long-winded way to say, I think my biggest focus this week, if I'm Pineda, is just drilling into their heads. Like, whatever you had in the first few games of the season where you fought for 90 minutes, you got to remember to do that. You cannot switch off in an MLS game or you will get punished.
Matty Cruz in the 1s and 2s. First question for Tyler Pilgrim on a Wall Pass Wednesday.
Before I ask my question, was Jose Martinez on that list?
For the mass confrontation?
I don't think so.
Let's see. I do not believe that he was, but
I'm just shocked he didn't get fined for chucking the ball into freaking no man's land. But that's fine.
That's a game day decision, and that is truly something that is within the field of play, and so that would have had to have been something where you go, okay, that should have happened on the field, and you can't retroactively sit there and go, okay, we've got to sit there and issue something for chucking a ball. So that was something that should have happened in the field of play.
I think he wasn't in that list, and I think it's probably because somebody on the Union squad was like, hey, dude, get off the field now because you're lucky you weren't sent off already. You're lucky you're not going to get like an after the fact red card, Right. So
Yep. So, Maddie, what else is on your mind now that we got Jose Martinez out of the way?
Listen, I had to bring it up.
I know.
I will say, even though obviously there was those laps, I feel like we saw a lot of really good bright spots, at least in the attack from Saba, from that side of Wiley. We saw Tristan and Sleesh really kind of connect. What were your thoughts about those buildups and those connections on the field?
I mean, I actually thought everybody played really well. And of course, it's always going to be looked at with the two goals, right? But like you played a really solid game and you were creating chances. It wasn't like, you had a good half and a bad half in terms of momentum, the goals notwithstanding, obviously.
Right.
But like you played the first half and you looked pretty good. And it was back and forth, right? It wasn't like you had a dominant performance, but you looked like you were in the game. As far as Miyamba and Slish, I actually thought this was one of their better games. I thought Slish was low key one of the best players on the pitch. And I know you were there in the locker room, but he was not happy about this match, like visibly not happy. And I kind of talked about it after the match that night, but Slish, I think we tend to forget he's coming from a team where he won, I think it was 4 trophies in a row. And at his age, he's 24. Like, he has nothing but success pretty much in his soccer career to this point. So he does not like losing or having a draw that feels like a loss. So, yeah, I mean, especially after the game that he played with Muyumba, I feel for him. And then you look at the wings, and, Pineda kind of mentioned it as well. Wiley hasn't gotten as many chances this year, and that's not necessarily his fault. That's because of what they're asking him to do. And he said he's just happy because the kid's work rate is so phenomenal that he got rewarded with an absolute golazo, so it's great to see him getting involved, because I think when this Atlanta team, their attack is firing, you have Brooks Lennon and Caleb Wiley at least involved in some way, shape, or form in the attack. And it was nice to see Caleb kind of get on the board.
Bart Sleesh's numbers on the day: 74 touches, 84% passing on 42 of 50, 1 key pass, 2 long balls, 1 block shot. He was 9 of 13 on his duels, 5 of 6 in the air, something that, Atlanta United has been more of a 50-50 bunch, or, on the lower end of the 50 percentiles kind of a thing. So Bart Sleesh, 4 of 7 on the ground, 5 of 6 in the air, 9 of 13 overall on his duels. Was fouled 1 time, which really should have been a yellow card on Jose Martinez. 1 clearance, 3 blocks, 3 picks, and 3 tackles. That's what you got from Bart Sleesh on Sunday. To your point about Tristan Muyumba, who ended up with an 8.3 on SofaScore. In the 90 minutes, 83 touches, 53 of 63 passing, 4 key passes, 3 for 3 on his long balls, 1 shot on target, 1 off, 2 blocks, 4 of 6 on the dribble. Get this, Tristan Muyumba, 10 of 15 on his ground duels alone. 10 of 15. I have never seen an individual with a number that high on either side of the equation, maybe in total, but on one aspect of your duels. 10 of 15 on the ground for Tristan Muyumba.
Especially against Philly.
Yeah.
Because you touch them the wrong way, they're going to fall over. So that means you had clean tackles, clean duels.
1 block, 1 pick, 6 tackles for Tristan Muyumba. So 6 tackles and 10 of 15 on your ground duels for Tristan Muyumba against Philly. So there's some really cool stats that you don't get the chance to get a second look at traditionally when it comes to Atlanta United. But now you've got to dust yourself off, and you've got Cincinnati coming to town. And Cincinnati, one of the 2 teams last season in the Eastern Conference that was over 500 on the road. They were 7-3-7. Obviously, when you finish number 1 or number 2 in the conference, it would lean to the fact that perhaps maybe you do okay on the road. 7-3-7 last year. They're 2-1-1, but they're coming off the loss to Montreal, where some guy that we all know, you might have heard of, Joseph Martinez.
Yep.
He scored against Philadelphia last week, and so against Cincinnati last week. So since he comes to town, and it's going to be another one of those matches where you're going up against one of the better teams in the conference, in a conference that is a street fight. And I think that this one really is one of the heavyweight matchups coming up this weekend on 7:30 on Saturday night. It's Kanji and Danny who are in the booth for Apple TV.
Yeah, I think I actually hopped on the one of the Cincinnati podcasts last night, Cincy Soccer Talks, if you guys ever get a chance.
Yep.
And they were a little worried about this match, which is good if you're an Atlanta fan.
Right.
They've I don't want to call this a skid. It's not a skid. Like, you have to have more than two matches, right? For it to be a skid, but it's abnormal. I think if you look over the past calendar year for them, they're struggling a little bit. And I think their attack is not quite as outstanding as it was. Numerically, we can see that. Obviously, we look at the maths and we can tell that. But Lucho can't do everything on his own either. And just like I think we've had that argument with Almada, before the summer transfer window last year, Almada couldn't do everything on his own. Well, Atlanta now has players around him that can make things happen. Even if he's the guy doing the dirty work and creating space for everybody else, that's okay. Lucho is not quite getting that out of his surrounding group at this point. So regardless, it's going to be a tough test for Noah, Abram. I'm assuming that's going to be the two because I don't think Stian or Derek are going to be back yet. Pretty sure they're not. So yeah, this is not going to be an easy one by any means, but also, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, fact check me.
Sure.
Cincinnati was the last team to beat Atlanta in the Benz. And I don't think they have forgotten that. And so you're coming off this 2-2 draw that felt like a loss to Philly. And if I'm an Atlanta United player, I'm pissed. I'm a little irritated with the way that happened. And then you also look back to last season. That was when Almada got his red card, his second yellow for no reason.
Yeah.
And it changed, I think, maybe a little bit of the outcome of the playoffs. And so I just think there's going to be a little bit of history there that Atlanta has not quite forgotten about yet. And then, of course, we haven't talked about Miles Robinson.
I've heard of him. Yes.
Yeah, that guy. I think on a normal day, Atlanta is in a much better defensive position than they were last year, even with Miles Robinson. But you don't have your starting two center backs. I think Noah and Luis Abram can handle it, but I do think it's going to be much more of a challenge than you would like against the reigning Supporter Shield winners.
So the reigning appetizer plate winners come to town, and Doug reported yesterday that Gigi Shande Silva and Stian Gregerson have resumed training. Once again, we're at the midpoint of the week. We don't necessarily know how things are progressing. We'll probably know more toward the end of the week, say the Friday opportunity to catch up with Gonzalo Pineda, where he'll sit there and say, okay, we might wait another day to figure out if so-and-so is going to be attached one way or the other. But getting these folks back, even if they can give you, say, 20, in the reverse idea that what we're used to seeing with these guys, the starters, and then you bring folks in, say, for 20 or 30 minutes to close up shop, maybe you have a situation with these folks where they're the ones that are coming off the bench just so they can get back to full song, and you have them being the ones to shut the door on Saturday night. It would present an interesting conundrum for Pat Noonan and for Cincinnati to have to prepare for those guys in addition to what you think you're going to be seeing at Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Daniel Rios, right? And excuse me. How he played.
Had to clear his throat because the coffee went down the wrong way.
Yeah, it tried to attack me, tried to get me. Daniel Rios, all the credit, because it wasn't just the goal that he scored against Philly. He was doing the right stuff as a striker. He was all over the place. He was pulling guys out of position. He was dropping back to help the play build up if needed. He was pressing. So, I mean, I think overall you should be pretty excited about what you saw out of Daniel Rios. I think he probably gets to start again. Yeah. And then you bring on Giacomakis, hopefully, if he's okay, for 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the end of the match.
Yeah. And
then you just, unleash everything you can. And the same could be said, maybe about Stian. I just don't think it's going to happen. But he's still got, Pineda still has options, and it's a decent place to be, especially when you know that your backup strikers are capable of scoring goals now.
Yes,
as opposed to the past 4 years. So I think you're in a decent position. You kind of have history going with you in this match as well. Cincinnati historically has not been good at the Benz. And so, I think there's, regardless of the injury situation, I think there's still a lot to look forward to in this one.
All right. So as Tyler hits mute and clears his throat and perhaps continues to hydrate so he can get his voice back, Maddie, what's your next question for Tyler here on Wall Pass Wednesday?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I think talking about Cincinnati, it's like bittersweet. You get Miles coming back to the Benz, seeing how that's going to react. I think I'm really excited to see how he's going to pair with the strikers in Rios and possibly Gigi if he ends up coming in. I don't believe he'll maybe start, but possibly maybe come on later if that's the case. But I'm excited to see that pairing and see the duels, because Miles is one of the best in the league for one-on-one duels, as we all are well aware of that. I mean, he's crazy when it comes to that stuff. But it's going to be a fun one. And I think, what is your expectation for, Miles coming back, like what are you anticipating? We're gonna see some fans' reaction, everything like that, because it's a bittersweet kind of day almost.
I mean, he deserves all the praise, right? Like, I think maybe sometimes people get a little in their feelings about like a player that's been around for a long time, and then they make a move that's like, we don't know all the factors, but if they make the move, it's what they feel is better for their life, and you can't be mad at somebody for that. He should be celebrated. He was part of a championship winning team multiple times, and he's a part of Atlanta's history for sure. And so, I mean, yeah, I remember when Gressel, one of the first times he came back after leaving, I want to say it was, I don't know when it was actually. Don't make me fact check myself. Anyway, but it was after he left.
Yeah.
And he was still getting the Gresselmania chance as he entered the pitch, and you've seen guys like that. Justin Miram even got it a little bit last year with Charlotte. So I don't expect this to be any different. I think he'll be celebrated when he gets here, but I also hope that he plays like absolute garbage and doesn't do anything related to putting any attacker in his pocket.
The lineup last time out, since I was doing homework while you were hydrating and Maddie was asking a question. For Noonan, SofaScore has it listed as like a 3-4-1-2, and to me, I think it drifts more into a 5-3-2, 3-5-2 kind of a thing. You end up with, and I'll play it as a 5-3-2. Luca Orellano, center backs Ian Murphy, Matt Miazga, Miles Robinson, DeAndre Yedlin out to the right, because the way that SofaScore has it posted, they've got Yedlin pushed forward into a midfield position. So 5 at the back against Montreal, midfield 3, Buka, Wobodo, and Lucho Acosta, and then your 2 attackers up top, Bupenza and Kubo. And I think that in this particular matchup, you sit there and it's like, okay, 5 at the back. If Atlanta, I always take Jason's tenet of you always want one more in defense than they have an attack up top. So if they're 2, then you're going to want 3 back there in some manner, way, shape, or form. And Gonzalo Pineda can turn the dial and have, center backs and the left back, right back, they can rotate around and he can turn the dial and you would have 3 in defense at any given moment, or just have, Bart Sleece drop back and he ends up being like a de facto 6. This looks like one of those elements where you sit there and it's like, okay, if you pin in Lucho and let everybody else beat you. I mean, that seems like it almost is a philosophy for some folks when it comes to Cincinnati. All right, we'll let everybody else try to beat us. We'll keep an eye on the number 1 gun. Is that what you are envisioning, where the second that Lucho Acosta is past the ball on Saturday night, you're going to see 7,000 Atlanta United players collapsing on him to make sure that he has no room to breathe?
Yeah, I think probably Pineda's number 1 point in the film review session, especially for Slish and Muyumba, is going to be, you always have to have an eye on and be within, arm's length of Lucho Acosta. You just have to. And I mean, it's the same tenet if you're trying to defend Thiago Almada. So you want Slish, who I think can handle it as a defensive midfielder. You want that to be the primary focus, because you still want Noah Cobb and Luis Abram to be able to handle, Kubo or Bupenza or whoever they put up top. So, but I do feel that ultimately you're going to see Slish all over Lucho Acosta. And I imagine Muyumba is going to be a big factor in that as well. If Lucho drifts out to the right, like he tends to do sometimes, I'm sure the communication's already been there, whoever's over on that side in terms of, whether it's Wiley or Tyler Wolf, if he's playing that left wing. They're going to be doing a lot more defensive work than I think they'll get credit for, but it's going to be by design, because you have to stop Lucho. You have to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there's going to be a big focus. I mean, and Pineda's even said he's not a big fan of man-marking people, but he also admitted, like, there are times and there are teams that you have to do that against, and this is one of them.
Maddie Cruz, what else is on your mind?
Well, what else is on my mind is you got the chance to watch some crazy Open Cup games last night.
Yes,
Which one was your
did.
favorite?
Rhode Island and Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. I watched the beginning of it before I hopped on the Cincinnati podcast, and then finished up the rest. And I thought, well, Charlotte's they're gonna come back and do their thing. They're a great team. Rhode Island, yes, technically higher division, but they're new, right? Like they're a new team. But I wanted our old pal Parkey to do his thing. I wanted that win for him. So, yeah, it was back and forth. I mean, Rhode Island comes out, and then Charlotte comes back and levels it, goes ahead. And then you get right before half, and Rhode Island evens it out again. Then you get 2 more goals, 1 apiece in the second half, and then you get 2 more goals, 1 apiece in extra time. And then they went to penalties, and Rhode Island had the chance to win it, and missed it. So it was a great watch, though. Like from a neutral perspective.
From a neutral perspective.
Oh my gosh! Like that game had everything. I mean, you had bangers, you had like weird Open Cup chaos, you had all the stuff. So that one was a lot of fun. And then I watched most of the Oakland Roots and
you watched El Farolito.
Yes, I did. The burrito, yeah. The burrito bravas.
The burrito bravas supreme.
They were throwing burritos into the stands. I think that's amazing.
So if anybody doesn't know the story of El Farolito, go look it up. It is a restaurant that I think that we are all now going to try and find when we're in the Bay Area. It's a chain, and they have a franchise in NPSL out west, and they've knocked off some folks to get into, I think it was Sounders 2 and Central Valley Fuego, to get to this point where they were playing against Oakland Roots.
Portland 2.
Oh, Portland, thank you. T2. Yep. It was one of those twos. So T2 and Central Valley Fuego to get to this point. They lose in the extra 30 to Oakland Roots, and Oakland Roots moves on. When the magic of the Open Cup. And so since you've gone here, so we'll go ahead and discuss what's going on with Open Cup. We have these matchups. Today, it is, we got 5 early. Okay, 5 early, 5 fairly decent. Richmond Loudon, Hartford Athletic, and NYCFC 2. That one's in Trinity Health. We had Roy Lassiter on the show yesterday, and Maddie caught up with him. North Carolina FC Carolina Core. That one's going to be a fun blood feud at 7 o'clock. Memphis 901 Miami United FC. That one's at AutoZone with our friend Stephen Glass. The Miami FC hosting South Georgia Tormenta down at FIU in Miami. Legion and Red Wolves at Montevallo, Alabama, at the University of Montevallo. Union Omaha, El Paso Locomotive, Fire 2, Indy 11. That one's in Bridgeview, so about 7 people will watch that. FC Tulsa and Hailstorm, Monterey Bay, Irvine Zeta out of Nisa, and Vegas Lights and Spokane Velocity. So you, sir, what are your viewing habits going to be for this?
So I'm definitely starting off with North Carolina and Carolina Core.
Uh-huh.
I just think that one's going to be spicy because you've got a new team and you've got, obviously the geographical connotations of this, but
right.
It's also one of the early ones. And I think out of the 3 7 o'clock ones, I just think you're going to get the most entertainment out of that one. I hope.
Right.
But gotta keep an eye on South Georgia, obviously. But I am curious about Miami United and Memphis because, one, I still have a little bit of anger in my heart at last year's Open Cup and Memphis. Even though I love Steven. I'm just curious because if I'm not mistaken, they're Miami United is the last amateur side left in the tournament, I believe.
I believe that might be. I think
El Farolito.
Yeah, El Farolito. Yeah, they got bounced last night. So, Lubbock got bounced by New Mexico United. So that lends us to today, and I think it is. I think it is Miami United. Yeah. It would be the last amateur side. So I don't know how the money's distributed, but because of the scheduling, I don't know if Miami United gets the check because they were the last man standing because El Farolito lost last night. We got scheduled late. We get the full check. I don't know if it's one of those kinds of things, but sidebar. Their Miami Vice jersey that they had a couple of years ago, Oh my God.
Yep.
That was a fun one. I
would like one of those.
I wish they would reissue that.
Yeah.
You know what? Speaking of jerseys.
Uh-oh. Yes.
Jay Heap, if you're listening.
Jay, she's still going after Jay Heaps.
We haven't brought it up in a while. Where is it? I was promised, and I still have not received it.
Oh goodness! There's your bat signal. There's your bat signal for the Lady Electra jersey for Jay Heaps and Legion.
I beg. I'll come up to a game. I'll do it.
Maddie will try and maybe hammer their anvil or something. She'll go over to Legion and do that. We know that this weekend, I think, is the beginning of the implementation of all of the rules from Major League Soccer that we were promised were going to be implemented, and then we had something called a labor stoppage kind of get in the way.
Yep.
And so now you end up with a couple of new rules that are a part of the deal, and reminders once again that this is the stuff that was brought in from MLS Next Pro. And it is that you can't dilly or dally anymore when it comes to your injuries. And that is something that we have how do we phrase? That we've somewhat championed and wished that folks wouldn't kind of sit there and go, I've got a problem with my hamstring. And then, 45 seconds later or a minute later, after kind of getting it worked on by the physios, you stand right up and everything's cool. We now get the implementation of those rules for 2024. And I wanted to kind of give a bit of a refresher course when it comes to what we're looking at with these new sporting initiatives, as they were referred to. Off-field treatment rule. Medical professionals with time to assess and treat players off the field of play in a less pressurized environment. That's from our friends at Major League Soccer. If a player with a suspected injury remains on the ground for more than 15 seconds, the referee will stop play, wave the medical crew onto the field to evaluate the player. When safe, the player will be removed from the field and remain off the field for a minimum of 2 minutes for further assessment and treatment. Once again, that was MLS Next Pro, and we saw that at MLS Next Pro with the twos. Exceptions include instances of potential head injury, goalkeeper injury, serious medical events, and fouls resulting in yellow or red cards. So the off-field treatment rule is back with us. Or maybe it never left, but it's with us. Even if it's back with us, it's back with us for the first time. So we got off-field treatment.
Back with us in spirit.
Yes.
I think this is necessary. And interestingly enough, I'll get to my most important one when we get to it, but this is like the second most important one to me. I think it's just something that you've got to keep the game moving. You've got to keep the game moving. And if somebody, if you go down, I get the dark arts. I do. Mm-hmm. This is defense against the dark arts, and I'm happy that it's happening. I'm happy because there are ways to legitimately play the dark arts and waste time. Like if your name is Cubo Torres and you run the ball into a corner for 5 minutes.
The magic of Cubo Torres.
Yes. But it's necessary. I mean, if you're going to go down and you're legitimately injured, then you legitimately don't need to be on the pitch.
Yeah.
Right. Like you need to be tended to. So yeah, stop all the playing around in the dark arts. And I mean, you can maybe shave off a second or two now, but you're not shaving off a minute or two. And I see in the chat, like Derek saying, yeah, this is like the anti-Philly rule. And I love it.
Time substitution rule. Maximizing effective match time. And like I said, this is the wording of Major League Soccer. The time substitution rule, capital T, capital S, capital R, requires that a substituted player exit the field within 10 seconds. Failure to exit from any point on the field within the 10 seconds, you get a 10 count. It's like, you get the referee go to 9, and then somebody runs off. Failure to exit from any point within the 10 seconds will cause the incoming player to wait for a 60-second holding period before entering the game at the next stoppage. During the holding period and prior to the substitute entering, the team will play down a player. Exceptions to the rule include injury and goalkeeper substitutions. Enacted in Next Pro last season, 99.7% of the more than 3,200 substitutions were completed in 10 seconds or less.
I always think it's funny because you saw this in Next Pro, and it got to the point where it looked like the players were doing like suicides. Like they were just, it was like 10 seconds. I got to get off the pitch. If I'm sitting at center circle, I've got to get a move on.
8,
Yeah.
9.
There's a lot of pressure.
People diving off the field at 9.5 to avoid the
The
penalty.
VAR's checking to make sure their body crossed the line within the 10 seconds.
You get the lines like they have in the Premier League. Off.
No, I loved it. I enjoyed it in Next Pro. I think, again, it's just a way to speed up the game and keep things moving. And it's a simple change, but it's one that needed to happen. I think it absolutely needed to happen. And I see Alex's comment about the defense against the dark arts.
Yeah,
I get you. And hopefully it doesn't only last 1 year. Hopefully this is before the curse happened.
Yes. So, yes, the defense.
Harry Potter.
Yes, of course. And then Alex says that you're going to get the James Brown cape bit. Absolutely, you are. The other one, you have in-stadium VAR announcements. And pending IFAB approval, this was written back in December, VAR decisions announced by the referee to fans in the stadium and viewers at home. We are already seeing the stoppage time clock roll past 90 minutes. That one wasn't affected by the different set of officials that we had to begin the year. And the return to play equity, opposing players who simultaneously incur head injuries requiring off-field treatment who are subsequently cleared to return to play will return to the game at the same time once both medical evaluations have been completed. But the power play option for me here with the timed substitution element, that is when you see those first couple of instances of the power play where it's 11 on 10 and you've got the guy kind of sitting there and he's looking at the clock and the coach is sitting there and everybody's trying to do math and everything. And folks are trying to get like in the starters blocks and you see like the road runner bit where the legs are going like this before the guy can go back in. Yeah. It's the power play man advantage element of this. It's the first time that we see something like this and something happens. I wonder what the mass confrontation policy is going to look like when you have a moment like this.
Well, that's where the fines have to start going up, I guess. I don't know. I guess, when it comes to that, though, I also feel like a lot of this, if you're a ref, stop allowing some of this stuff to happen because you have the things in your pocket to help mitigate some of that. And I understand, yeah, we're all humans. You're going to get angry. You're going to go against the rules a little bit. Fine. I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
Totally get that. But if I'm a ref, if somebody runs up to me protesting or whatever, the first time that happens, fine. You say, hey, back up. This is the call period. That's the end of the discussion. The second time it happens, while everybody's surrounding me, yeah, yellow card, but hey, also y'all go ahead and take the free kick while they're all surrounding me and see how quickly they disappear from me and they go deal with the ball. Like it's little simple things like that could speed the game up too, that don't necessarily require like a rule change.
Yeah.
They just need to be enforced a little bit better, I think. But anyway, that was maybe a little bit out in the right field, but I just have to say that.
It's a Wall Pass Wednesday. That's what we're here for, to kind of do this. The other one that was dropped yesterday by IFAB, and it is the idea of, and Maddie and Jason and Jarrett were part and parcel to this back at the Fraction with Philadelphia Union 2. And we see it all the time where you get keepers who kind of make a habit of just kind of sitting there and hanging out. It's just like, okay, that's all right. You kind of check your nails, and it's like, okay, what are we doing? So right now, the unenforced law when it comes to loitering, for lack of a better phrase,
that's a great word, actually.
It is goalkeeper loitering. That is what we're looking at. If we're looking at GL, goalkeeper loitering or keeper loitering, KL, however you want to phrase it. The unenforced law says the keeper can only hold the ball for 6 seconds. And I know that Brad said some stuff about this yesterday. Any longer, and it is an indirect free kick to the opposition. Now, IFAB has a trial that they are going to have to try to change this. Dale Johnson to ESPN breaks it all down in a thread. He says, as well as wasting time at goalkeeper holding the ball for too long is considered an unfair tactic because the opposing team has no possibility to regain possession because, once again, it is goalkeeper loitering. You're just kind of hanging out. That's because the keeper cannot be challenged when in control of the ball with the hands inside the 18. Keeper holding the ball for more than 6 seconds should be punishable by the indirect free kick. And so now the idea is to enforce it. Feeling one is an indirect free kick too great an advantage with a high chance of scoring when there was no possibility of scoring in the first place. Managing a free kick in the area is often extremely difficult, especially if it's close to the goal with defenders on the goal line between the goalposts. IFAB believes that systematic enforcement coupled with a restart that results in the goalkeeper and their team losing possession without giving the opposing team too big a benefit could be effective in eliminating the offense or reducing its frequency. IFAB breaks down the 3 common situations. Quick release for a counter, under 6 seconds. Unable to release quickly for a variety of legitimate reasons, 6 to 8 seconds. And then keeper decides to waste time, often unnecessarily, falling to the ground 20 seconds or more. So limit of 8 seconds was trialed. The idea being this not to penalize keepers who genuinely want to release the ball into play in a timely manner, but through no fault of their own are unable to do so, like a dude's right in your grill. 4 parts to the procedure for the trial. The referee will start counting the 8 seconds when the keeper has clear control of the ball with his hands. So everybody, 8, that. The referee will use a raised hand to clearly show the countdown from 5 seconds to 0. So literally it's going to be like a stage manager. 5, he's going to be doing this. And then, I guess you point at the keeper. The corner kick or throw in resulting from an offense will be taken from the side of the field of play closest to where the keeper was positioned when penalized. So basically, if he's on the left-hand side of the 18, it's on that near side would be where the throw-in would happen. Yeah. The keeper will be warned, so you get a finger wag, for the first offense and then cautioned with a yellow for any subsequent offense. It's only available to competitions that do not involve teams from the top 2 domestic levels or Senior A internationals. Results considered by IFAB in October and November of 2025. Technically, the law could change for the 26-27 season if successful. Competitions which apply to take the part must opt to use only one of the restarts, the corner kick or the throw-in. They cannot mix or match and test both in different matches. If it becomes law, you can absolutely imagine, this is Dale Johnson, imagine supporters doing a countdown as soon as the referee's arm goes up, and then likely add extra pressure to the keeper to release. And don't think it wouldn't be like college basketball either, where you shortchange the shot clock a couple of seconds. Yep. When it's really like 8 on the clock, you go 5,
3.
Exactly. So it looks like, once again, IFAB might have their head in the right place, but the calendar has it 25 for 26-27. So literally, a year and a half from now would be this implementation, and then trying to come up with what we're staring at. So, yay!
Yeah. Like, we have to wait. It is a great, I think, option. I don't know that all the scenarios that are in that, set of rule changes or whatever we want to call them.
Sure, suggestions.
Yeah, suggestions.
Perhaps, maybe, kind of, sort of.
I don't know that they're all necessarily the 100% best way, but I think they're the best way that we have right now. And the 6 second thing, man, FIFA makes me do it. I wish that they would have implemented this a long time ago. FIFA being the video game.
I was going to say, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, FIFA is not making anybody do it. But no, I mean, it's what needs to happen again to speed the game up. Dark arts is one thing. Mm-hmm. Taking a nap on top of the ball in the 60th minute is something totally different.
Loitering?
Yeah, loitering. I don't know. Some of these people, they transition from loitering to trespassing. Like, it gets really bad. So, yeah, I mean, I like it. I do agree. The biggest thing with that was the indirect free kick thing. It is maybe a little harsh to give an indirect free kick in that situation. Right. So I do like the corner possibility, the throw-in possibility, whatever. Those are, I think, probably the most fair ways to make this happen. And yeah, I just wish we didn't have to wait until 2026. But man, a lot of these goalkeepers across the world and goalkeeper coaches are going to have to go ahead and like get in that mindset now, because you've been trained from a very young age for a lot of these things that you do that you're not going to be able to do anymore.
Yep. So what's going on at Scarves in Spikes as you continue to hydrate and get ready for the next round of shows and continue to flash the new gear?
Yes. First, I'm going to go get me some more coffee.
There you
go. But we have our show tonight at 7, as usual, Wednesday night. So over on the YouTube and the Twitch and Twitter. I'm not sure of a guest yet. We're working on one of the MLS announcers, but it's been kind of a weird week and a half, so I don't know. So I can't give a name yet.
Okay. You're efforting, as we say.
Yes. And then other than that, just scarvesandspikes.com. Got the website. I've got the articles going up, covering everything. It's my anniversary this weekend, so I have not been at training.
Oh, well, how many years?
16.
Wow. The boss and I have been together for 15 and married for 11 plus.
There you go. We got started very young.
So what is 16, by the way, in anniversaries? Do you know what that
like the present?
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up real quick because I don't.
I'm right there with you. Because when you said 16, I was like, man, anniversary gifts by year, according to our friends at brides.com. They're going for a while here. Yeah, one is paper. Yeah, no kidding. And no, you can't give 16 pieces of paper. Like you can't give the boss legal pads or something. You can't do that.
Silver hollowware?
Wax.
And wax.
Okay,
why would I give? Okay. Whatever.
So, yeah, what is hollowware anyway? Silver hollowware. I've never heard of it.
Anything related to the dinner table that isn't silverware.
Okay. All right.
Like a candlestick or something?
Yeah. Traditional present is wax. Think candles, wax seals, and more. The modern gift is silver hollowware, metal serving pieces like bowls, serving trays, or teapots. The gemstone is peridot, and the color is silver. Associated with 16th anniversary, provides lots of gifting for jewelry and such. Thanks to our friends at brides.com for that education. And when we see you on Saturday night, you are going to have to let us know which direction you went. If you went with the hollowware, or if you went with the wax, or if you went with peridot or silver.
I will report back
in
a week's time, and I will definitely let y'all know.
That is very cool. At ATL Pilgrim, at Scarves and the letter N Spikes, go to their Etsy site and get their gear, and go to soccerdownhere.net and get our gear with all of our T-shirts and designs and everything. Tyler, my friend, enjoy your anniversary. Enjoy your peridot and your hollowware. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thank y'all.
There you go. That's Tyler. He's going to go search for hollowware now. I've never heard of hollowware in. Ooh, David, I like this. I like that. Didn't records used to be pressed with wax? Vintage records. I love that idea. That is fantastic. Michael Head is blowing all of us out of the water at 33 years of marriage. But the idea of the vintage albums, man, that's fantastic. I love that. So 33rd anniversary gifts. No, 33rd anniversary. I love how Google sets you short. And they're like, 3rd anniversary? No, 33rd. So, all right. So now that Michael has completely and totally just exploded everything here. I've got a record collection. That's easy. All right. So 33rd anniversary. Traditional gifting theme is amethyst. Symbolic would be like amethyst stud earrings or tumblers. The purple bouquet of flowers. The purple bouquet, amethyst tree art. So it looks like amethyst seems to be the way of the world for 33. 33, more power to you. Well done. But now that we go down the line looking for purple and amethyst and things like that, alternatives. A newspaper anniversary book. Apparently the New York Times does those. A silver and wood watch, which is expensive as all ish. A nostalgic couples gift set. Silk PJs, embroidered cotton towels, coffee mugs, leather wallet, jewelry case, those kinds of things. 33, more power to you. Well done. Yeah, but that's what we do here on Wall Pass Wednesdays. So yeah, Michael needed ideas, giving her almost every gift. So purple, amethyst, anniversary, news books, that kind of a thing. So yes, absolutely, Alex. Yes. Nothing like dance hall days to let us go, because everybody have fun tonight. Everyone Wang Chung tonight. Absolutely. Yeah, you can't get Wang Chung past me, brother. All right, so let's say hi to everybody as we start hour number 2. And once again, thanks for hanging out with us here on a Wall Pass Wednesday. Morning, Alex. Morning, Dell. Morning, David. Morning, Hutch. Let's see. And getting into the discussion about the Lords of Discipline. When all the wrists are slapped and no behaviors are changed, the discipline is finished. And yeah, Michael, fines don't accomplish anything. They really don't. And Michael was wondering when the team is going to stop switching off, losing concentration. Systematic. It's an individual issue, and I don't know how it can be systemic if it's different folks. If it was like the same position group or the same set of individuals, then to me it would be systemic. But it's a different moment and thinking. Okay, we're 20 minutes from close. We're cool. So for me, it's an individual thing, and that individual just has to learn. And that's how I view it. And when you have one individual learn, you hope it rubs if any of the others around them have that doubt, then it goes from one to the next to the next to the next, and everybody, erases that doubt. I think it's an individual issue. If it was the same roster and the same folks having the same problems, then to me it would be systemic. But it's different rosters, different individuals, and so those individuals just have to learn from those around them. So that's how I'm looking at it. Morning, Kefsey. Let's see. Morning, Rich. Yeah, Rich is like, at this point, Maddie just needs to buy the jersey herself. You know how expensive that jersey is, Rich? That jersey's out there, man. Dell, Maddie should just buy it and send Jay an invoice. Morning, Derek. And MLS needs the NHL penalty boxes. I mean, that was but NFL penalty boxes, that might work too. So let's see. Morning, Kefsey. Morning to me as I was commenting. And Emilio, I think this would be pretty funny. If you had VAR situations where you said you want the ref with the hot mic. I want to see the ref call a hard foul. Giving in the business down there. One of those kinds of things. That was funny in the moments of NFL refs. And yeah, Alex, like traveling in the NBA is a Euro step. We call it a Euro step. The announcers call it Euro steps. I call it traveling. Pros get a lot of leeway. Yeah. So it is the Euro step, a version of getting a foul called. 33 this week. Man, good power. Man, more power to you. Dell, yep, we're right behind you. The boss and I, the boss and I are right there with you. And 1/12/13 was the anniversary for us. And so, yeah, dated for 2.5, and then it was a year engaged. And so 1/12/13. We've been together. We just cleared 15 years together as a group. But Tyler, 16. I guess Tyler got married when he was 8. KFC, a butter container. Vases. What's a tureen? I have no earthly idea what a tureen is. Hutch is suggesting vases and tureens. I've never heard of a tureen before. I've heard of a turret. The where you have all the guns on a big steamship or a big destroyer in the ocean. The gun turrets, then like in airplanes and things. I've never heard of a tureen. I don't know what a tureen is. But yeah, I've got a record collection. The boss and I have a shared record collection. Multiple times each season, switching off and losing concentration. So Alex and the boss have been together for 27, married for 22. And morning, Abby. Abby's in South Florida. So Abby's in South Florida. And she is catching back up with us. But Abby's coming up on anniversary 32. So we've got some long tenured folks. Very, very cool stuff. David just passed 16 in November, slightly ahead of Tyler, but been together for 34, Abby. So very, very cool stuff to learn here on a Wall Pass Wednesday. So Here in hour number 2, it is all the things. And so we've got to talk about what happened yesterday in a Champions League. Plus, we haven't really had the chance to look at everything going on in Major League Soccer. We didn't get a chance to look at that from the weekend. Like I said, we got Champions League to look at from yesterday and all of the other news. According to Tommy Scoops, Tom Bogert, San Diego FC is interviewed Patrice Bernier for a high-ranking front office role. Bernier, obviously the CF Montreal legend, former Canadian international. He's currently a broadcaster. He's got experience as an assistant coach as well. And so there's you got that. Wow, 34, 35, fantastic. Okay, terrine, thank you for gravy and actually soup. Like I said, I've never heard of a terrine before. We did, as Tyler was mentioning, the what's going on with their guest chasing. We do now officially have the announce crews for the upcoming week in Major League Soccer, since we're going down that road. It is Danny. It is Kanji and Danny, Steve Cangelosi, Danny Higginbotham for Atlanta United and FC Cincinnati. Tony Husband, Ross Smith are in Columbus for Timbers and Crew. It is Keith and Mo in South Florida for Messi and Friends and Nashville. Callum and Kalen are in Toronto for the Revs and Toronto FC. Neil Sika, Lloyd Sam are in New York in some borough in some stadium for DC United and NYCFC. Christian Miles and Greg Sutton, north of the border for CF Montreal and the Purple Team. Tyler Terrence, Kendra D. St. Aubin. Tyler gets a home game. Kendra moves down for the hour-long flight from Minneapolis to catch up with the Chicago and RSL at 8:30 Eastern time on Saturday. Nate McCady, Devin Kerr are Houston and Austin as a part of Copa Tejas. It is Jake and TT in Kansas City for All Caps and Sporting. 9:30 Eric Krakauer and Jalil Anibaba are in Colorado with the Rabid Prairie Dogs as FC Dallas goes to take on the Rapids. Late night, it is at 10:30. It is Max and Mariano Trujillo for LAFC and Red Bulls. Rogo and Heath Pierce are in Seattle for Vancouver and Seattle. Sunday, Danny and Kanji drive up 75 to catch up with the Loons and Charlotte at 6 o'clock. And then the late game at 8:15, Max and Dunny have the Cali Classico with San Jose and Los Angeles. And as we all remember, Sports Center is next. So that's your announcers for week number 10 for the activity going on in Major League Soccer. So yesterday, obviously, we had Champions League, and it's half-past batch of crazy, where you had teams coming from behind and making sure that certain teams didn't make it through. Folks were mad. PSG was down 1-0. Then they come back to win it 4-1, take the aggregate 6-4. And so now you end up Champions League semifinal for the fourth time in their history for PSG. Mbappe scores twice in the second leg. Ronald Araujo got a red. And Xavi, obviously less than pleased. Luis Enrique returned to Barca to beat his former club. And down 3-2 in the first leg, down 1-0. And now they will be facing Borussia Dortmund for a place in the Wembley final. Barcelona got the lead. Rafinha converted Lamine Yamal's cross. Then Istvan Kovacs decided to send off Ronald Araujo for a professional foul in the 29th minute. So basically 70 minutes, a man down, was Barca. PSG scored with the Dembele before the half in the 40th minute. Scored in the 54th with Vintinha. Then João Cancelo allowed Mbappe, got the club ahead on aggregate in the 61st minute. Then, obviously, Barcelona's, pushing guys forward. Mbappe scores again, and you end up with a 6-4 final. Xavi complained to Kovacs after the match, and he got a red himself, and it didn't stop him going back to the pitch at the final whistle to go after Kovacs again. So Xavi was, how do we say this, less than pleased. So the quote from Xavi after the match, and I'm thinking that Xavi might be getting an envelope from our friends at UEFA. Here's the quote. The referee was really bad. I told him his performance was a disaster. I don't like to talk about referees, but it had a clear impact in the season, and it has to be said. We are very upset and angry because the red card was the decisive factor in the match with 11 players. We were in a good position, playing well and in command. It's too much to flash a red card in a game like this. There was another game after that. It is a pity that the work of the season was ruined by an unnecessary expulsion. So when you end up with the coach that was aggrieved, leading off his soundbite by saying the referee was really bad, that is that's not gonna go over well.
Yeah, no, no, especially in those exact phrasing, Normally you see it's like, yeah, there were some like moments, but he literally was just like, nah, he's bad.
Yep.
Like, wow.
Yeah, he's bad. So yeah, bad, Jerry, bad. PSG is going to play Dortmund in the semi. They met him in the group phase, so they're going to go up against each other in the semifinals. They had a turnaround in their tie with Atletico Madrid, lost 2-1 in Spain, 4-2 win at home, 5-4 in the aggregate. So it's Dortmund and PSG in the second one, and then today we have the other matchups that are going on today, and we're going to go juice boxes here and see what's up with the juice boxes with the Champions League. And in those particular elements, and by the way, we already have juice boxes for the opening semi in 2 weeks' time between PSG and Dortmund. Bayern and Arsenal on the road, they are a dog in this one. No real surprise. Bayern is a plus 152 at home. 90-minute draws a plus 250. Arsenal is a plus 179. This is a defining moment in the European season for Arsenal. Can they get the job done on the road? Manchester City is on the minus side, prohibitive favorite to get the result at home at the Etihad. Minus 164 in the composite. And the draw is a plus 350. And Real Madrid on the road to win in 90 minutes is a plus 421. A plus 421 to try and get something done and be a part of the semifinals. So biggest questions are, can Arsenal get it done on the road against Bayern? And can Real Madrid get a result and get into the semifinals against the winner of that one? So Manchester City, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Arsenal, both of those are at 3 o'clock. And it's going to be another wild and crazy day when it comes to the Champions League, I would imagine. But traditionally, it's almost like, okay, so one day is wild and crazy when it comes to your activity, and then day two is kind of calm. It's like the NCAA basketball tournament, where if you have a day with a lot of upsets, then the next day, traditionally in the opening round, is very chalky. And so it might be chalky today, but we'll see what happens. What are you thinking about?
I don't know. I mean, both of these, I think I forgot that they had tied in the initial leg.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna definitely be switching back and forth when I'm watching those. So
yeah. So we'll see what's going on there. We've got all the massive matches in Open Cup. We kind of previewed them a little bit, and checking the juice boxes on those. And the anticipation is that a lot of the higher division folks are going to be the ones getting the Dukes here. So we actually have 10 of the 11 with juice boxes. The one that does not is the Memphis-Miami United match. So Hartford Athletic, big favorite at home, hosting NYC FC2 at a minus 133. North Carolina FC is minus 179 going up against Carolina Core. Core to win in 90 minutes is a plus 387, draws a plus 322. I bring that one up because for folks that missed it, yesterday we had your conversation, Maddie, with Roy Lassiter, and played that in its entirety yesterday. When you look at what Carolina Core has done in the Open Cup, first and foremost, going on the road, knocking off Vermont Green, staying on the road after with the matchup with Revs 2. Now that you've had the chance to kind of almost be the Carolina core embed with the amount of times that you caught up with Roy Lassiter. What's your gut on this one with core going into this matchup against North Carolina after you had the conversation with Coach Lassiter?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's going to be a battle. I don't think it's going to be an easy win, if that makes any sense. I really don't see it going that way, just because you have to look at it too, regionally. It's North Carolina versus Carolina core. It's very close. So obviously, inherently, there's this rivalry almost. But with that being said, Carolina core has had a really good number on the road. And I think that says a lot about a team that can go on the road in those situations and win. Roy Lassiter told me in that interview, a lot of the teams where they were facing, their home crowds were crazy. Vermont Green is when he pointed out indefinitely and how it's crazy. Like it felt like it felt weird, but they were able to pull through. And so he has faith in his team. And so I do think Carolina core is going to win in 90 minutes, but I think it's going to be tied 1-1.
Okay.
Carolina core is going to put one in the back of the net in the last 5 minutes, and that's how it's going to end.
Wow. So she's going with the plus 387. She's rolling with the core. For the record, we have reached out to Charlotte Independence, and we'll see if they can parachute in here in the next 40 minutes, or we'll just get something on tape and we'll put it on the network. We did catch up with the folks in charge at Decatur FC and the WPSL yesterday, and that'll be posted a little later on in the 1v1s on the network and the app. Really good conversation about teams coming online. Maddie and I, by the way, in 9 days' time, we're going to be at the Georgia Impact Kickoff at Reformation Brewing up in Canton, up by Cherokee High School, and it'll be fun to see the kickoff for Impact in the WPSL season, the sprint that is the WPSL, and it's going to be fun to see what's going on with the Impact here in 2024. But yeah, Maddie and I are going to be up at Reformation on Friday night, the 26th, and so that one's going to be fun as well. Also at 7 o'clock, Kickers are a big underdog hosting Loudoun United. Loudoun United a minus 127. Tormenta, big underdog on the road at the Miami FC. The Miami FC is a minus 128. Remember, we always have to identify them as such. They are the Miami FC, not a, but the Miami FC in USL Championship. Birmingham and Chattanooga Red Wolves, the rivalry that is part of the USL in both of those divisions. Once again, that's at Montevallo tonight in Birmingham. Birmingham, no surprise. They're a minus 192 on the board. Red Wolves are north of plus 400. Fire 2 and Indy 11. Indy 11, they're on the road at Bridgeview, and they are favored at a plus 114. Fire on the at home at Bridgeview are a plus 175. FC Tulsa, no surprise. They're favored against Northern Colorado at home, but this one to me would be another one to keep an eye on if you're looking for a cup set with what Eamon Zayed has done with the Hailstorm of the last year plus. I would say Northern Colorado, keep an eye on them at a plus 311. The draw in the composite is a plus 287. Murder Owls of Union Omaha hosting El Paso Locomotive. The Locomotive are favored. Put nothing past the Murder Owls, by the way. El Paso is a plus 123. Union Omaha at home is a plus 175. West Coast, both of them are at 1030. Vegas Lights hosting Spokane Velocity. Vegas Lights, they've done really well out of the blocks in USL Championship at a minus 145. Spokane Velocity is a plus 311 to win on the road. And then Monterey Bay hosting Irvine Zeta out of Nisa. Monterey Bay is a minus 238. The 90-minute draw is a plus 347. Irvine Zeta, by the way, north of plus 500. They are a plus 512 when it comes to what you're staring at in the latest of the late games when it comes to the Open Cup and the magic of the Open Cup. So I'm thinking you might get an upset or two tonight. That's just my gut. Like I said, Maddie's thinking Core might get the result against North Carolina FC. I'm specifically looking at Northern Colorado and possibly Union Omaha at home. Those would be the two later ones for me would be what I'm staring at when it comes to the cup sets and the magic of the cup. So we'll be interested to see what happens in those tonight. The week that was in Major League Soccer, haven't had the chance to go over that. And we've talked a lot, obviously, about Atlanta and Philly, but we haven't had the chance to talk about all the other matchups from the week. And the craziness and the context and everything. Portland and LAFC had a 2-2 draw. Charlotte and Toronto FC went half past crazy as an early game. 5-goal thriller. Charlotte got the win there 3-2. Orlando in another 5-goal thriller beat DC 3-2. We talked about Montreal and Cincinnati. Montreal got the win 2-1 over FC Cincinnati. Cincinnati with one of the rare road losses that they've had over the last 2 seasons. Goalless draw, Red Bulls in Chicago. Once again, probably setting the game back at least 5 years. NYC beat New England 2-0, and we'll get into hot seats coming up here in just a little bit. Dallas and Seattle, a goalless draw at Toyota. Messi and friends and the craziness that was attached to the 5-goal thriller at Arrowhead. 3-2 final for Messi and friends over Sporting Kansas City at Arrowhead in front of 9 gazillion people. Salt Lake and Columbus, a goalless draw. Columbus coming off of CONCACAF Champions Cup action, and you figured that one might be a slog and that they were just going to try to get out of Rio Tinto in one piece. Colorado put 3 on San Jose. LAG over Vancouver by the final of 3-1 on the road. We figured that one might be a little crazy when it came to the total and the two offenses. So, Maddie, when we look back at the week that was in Major League Soccer outside of Atlanta and Philly, from those matchups and those finals, what else sticks in your mind?
Ooh, let me scout. I will say, for the most part, I feel like this season in MLS, we've been seeing a lot of red cards in matches. I feel like it's uncharacteristically high.
Well, when you end up with shenanigans, then the byproduct of said shenanigan ends up being those reds.
That very true. You are 100% correct.
Shenanigans. Here's your red card.
I'm looking, man. It was a crazy one. I will say the Sporting Kansas City and the Inter Miami FC one was a fun one to watch. Just that back and forth of it. Real Salt Lake and Columbus. That one kind of shocked me a little bit.
Yep.
But I don't think Columbus has been the best on the road so far.
No. Columbus on the road, and we'll go over the standings, and like I said, we'll talk about hot seats here coming up in just a little bit. Standings in the East, Columbus, but once again, Columbus is balancing the CONCACAF hemispheric extravaganza and all that travel with what's going on right now. And they're doing a pretty good job of it. They're 2 points out of first. And Miami has got 15 points, but they've played the most matches of anybody in the top 6. Atlanta has 2 matches in hand on Miami. And Red Bulls have played 8 matches. They have 15 points. Philadelphia's played 7. They've got 13. Columbus has played 8. They've got 13. Cincinnati has played 8. They've got 12. Atlanta has played 7. They have 11 points. Charlotte also right now has 11 points so far this season. Atlanta is ahead on goals scored by 3. Montreal and Toronto each have 10 points. Toronto's played 1 more match. That would be your playoff bar right there with Montreal and Toronto. And below it, DC at 10, Chicago at 9, NYC at 8, along with Orlando. And Orlando's given up 13 goals this year. And that's a bit surprising considering El Pulpo, the octopus, Pedro Galese between the sticks. Nashville has also given up 13 and scored 8, but they've got 7 points in New England right now at 1-5-1 in the East. They have 4 points in 7 matches. They've given up 13 goals. They've only scored 5. 0-3 on the road this year, 1-2-1 on the road. Western Conference. LA is 15 points. Vancouver and Houston both at 13. Identical records, but Vancouver has scored 6 more goals. Salt Lake has 12 points, and so does Colorado. LAFC's with 11 points there in 6th. Minnesota has played 1 less match. They have 11 points. St. Louis, all caps SC, has 11 points as well through 8 matches. Kansas City has 10 points, and that would be your playoff bar. 9 points each to Portland and Austin, then a drop-off. Seattle at 1-3-3 has 6 points so far in 7 matches. We'll catch up with Nico Moreno tomorrow and get the vibe out west and get the rest of what he thought about the season, the week that was, and we'll get ready for the weekend that will be. Dallas, 5 points in 7 matches. They have given up 10 goals. They've only scored 6. San Jose, 8 matches played, 1 win, 7 losses, 10 goals scored, 20 goals allowed in 8 matches. 2.5 goals per match allowed on average. San Jose right now, bottom of the West with only 3 points so far in the season. And so it has been, when it rains for our friends that are attached to John Fisher, it absolutely pours. And what I mean by that is that John Fisher, owner of the Oakland A's, we know what's going on with the Oakland A's. They're moving into Sacramento. Seems to be focused on that and building his stadium in Las Vegas. That the city of Las Vegas is like, nope, not interested. We'll see what happens there. San Jose, the level of interest by John Fisher is intriguing to say the very least. So what's going on? Is John Fisher just kind of letting Luchi Gonzalez just kind of, be there at the moment? It's like, I don't have the money to invest for one reason or another. And so now maybe, you're looking at hot seats. And so if you, and I mean this in the collective, and I mean this for Twitch Pitch and for you, Maddie, who would you have in your hot seat right now for managers in Major League Soccer? Who would you have as your hot seats?
Ooh.
Who would you have in your hot seats?
Ooh. I mean, I will say from the very beginning, I know that the talk was definitely on Austin. They've been okay.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's still kind of early to really gauge. I would say Austin's probably still in that same boat and figuring that out and seeing how that's going to fly. I mean, 8 matches, you only have 9 points. It's decent. It's not awful, but you got to continue getting on that drive. And then looking at the East, I think NYCFC could be one.
Yeah, Nick Cushing. That seems to be a very familiar name that has been racing its way through. So yeah, Nick Cushing would be on the.
Nick Cushing for sure, just because again, same thing. You have only 2 wins, 2 draws, and 4 losses, and I believe some of those losses have been at home, and that's not good. And also New England.
Caleb Porter.
New England has not been on the best streak right now. 7 matches played, only 4 points. That is not good. Not good at all.
Yeah, no, that's that is definitely, as they say, not good. And it also appears, and once again, thanks to our intrepid reporters in the Twitch pitch, but it looks like, according to our buddy Tommy Scoops, that Wilfred Nancy has signed a contract extension. They've reached a contract extension. Correction, they have reached a contract extension. And because you get to MLS, the end of the you get the end of the season, you win the last match of the year, folks kind of want to keep you hanging around. So Wilfred Nancy is has reached a contract extension with Columbus Crew. Smart move by the Crew. Lock him up. Make sure that he's going to be there a while. So very, very unsurprising news, but the mere fact, and thank you, Hutch, for being part of the group and the gaggle that broke that news.
Yeah, I mean, why would you fix what's broken?
Yeah, and what you're seeing with Wilfred Nancy right now.
Why would you fix what's not broken?
Right. Yeah. If you want to fix, yeah. Well, San Jose would be the first one. Why would you want to fix what's broken? San Jose is the latter. So I think that what you're looking at here is a combination of Nico Estevez in Dallas, and we look at the numbers with Dallas, and you're going, it's just, something ain't right. And Dallas, 6 goals scored in 7 matches. 6 goals scored in 7 matches. That is not the kind of attack that you are looking for. And so Nico Estevez would be one of those names that you would sit there and look at and go, yeah, Yeah, you're probably on that list. So Nico Estevez, Luchi Gonzalez in San Jose. And the irony that you're looking at the past coach in FC Dallas and the current coach in FC Dallas and now the current coach in San Jose, Luchi Gonzalez. But the question that I have here, where San Jose is concerned, is John Fisher preoccupied with what's going on with his baseball team and trying to make sure that he can be as sound financially with the relocation of the A's and not really focusing on the day-to-day financially of San Jose? Does that make any sense? Where he's focusing on his other interests and San Jose is just kind of there for him right now. Kind of like what Colorado used to be to Stan Kroenke, where it was a line item in the balance sheet. And you're not really, it's like, yeah, okay, you're over there, you're all right. You know, I'm not really going to invest and you're going to have to do things differently. But now that Kroenke Sports and Entertainment is investing, you're seeing what's happening with Colorado and with Chris Armas. It's amazing what happens when you spend money and you bring in folks like Georgi Mihailovic and get to retool things a certain way. But I think, and like I said, I have no empirical evidence to back this up. But my thought on the matter is, if John Fisher is so preoccupied or locked in, however you want to phrase it, on the idea of the Oakland A's, then that's where his tunnel vision is right now. He doesn't have the wherewithal to invest in San Jose to try to improve what's going on in San Jose. And what's going on in San Jose right now is that you have given up the most goals in the 2024 season with 20. You have the league worst goal difference at -10. I think that he's preoccupied, or at least if he's not preoccupied, if you want to phrase it the way that he's looking at other things, he's like, I got to focus on this stuff right now. And San Jose, you're just kind of going to have to deal with it and deal within a budget or something like that, especially when we have the rule changes coming in the summer. Maybe he's waiting for the summer to try to improve the roster. I don't know. Trade deadline, the transfer deadline is Tuesday, by the way, in Major League Soccer. So you've got a weekend to kind of sit there and maybe tinker with your roster a little bit. But I think in San Jose right now, it's a situation where dude's focused on other things. And right now, San Jose just is San Jose, and whatever happens, happens. And right now, what's happening ain't good.
Yeah. I mean, and I agree with you. I feel like, you're trying to buy out a Major League Baseball team, bringing it to your place. I mean, yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me. It makes sense that he's focusing solely on that. But with that being said, you have this completely other franchise in another league that is struggling. So this is where that business management comes into play, and you got to balance both. Like, yes, you want this Major League Baseball team. And if that is the case, and that's why there hasn't really been a focus on San Jose, you need to really reconsider, because both of these teams can be huge for the city and for everything around in California. So why would you not invest in both? Why would you only put all your eggs in one basket?
Well, it might be just looking at the idea of, all right, I know that this is stable in quotation marks, and I can focus on X, Y, and Z. I've got to focus on these other things that are more breaking or developing in my business empire. San Jose is what San Jose is. It's, stable financially, however you want to phrase it. And so it's like, right now it's early in the season. Like I said, I'm trying to think like John Fisher, and that might be a little dangerous. Trying to think like an owner right now who has something on his mind where he has a press conference about his baseball team, and he references a player from another club coming into town to play his baseball team as a drawing card for the baseball team, for his baseball team. He's mentioning other players from other teams. So, like I said, I just think that right now, John Fisher is probably more focused on Oakland and the A's than San Jose and the Earthquakes. And you're seeing right now what that byproduct is. And it's a roster that's not scoring. It is a roster that has a lot of defensive issues. And right now you're dead last and you're dead last. And that's just not good. I mean, right now you are wooden spoon and you're a point behind Caleb Porter. And Caleb Porter is another one for me that you're looking at. And Tyler, who is drifting in and out as he's trying to figure out how he can get his wax or his vinyl, for his anniversary. Robert Kraft, Caleb Porter. And it's kind of, right now Caleb Porter actually went the way of Joe Willie Namath and guaranteed the win against Charlotte. Last time he guaranteed something, he was in Columbus. He said he was going to bet his house to make the playoffs. And in his predictions right now, he's 1 for 2. Because when he made that prediction, they didn't make the playoffs in Columbus. And Caleb Porter was soon looking for other work. But New England right now. New England tried to balance the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza, and they got bounced. And it wasn't pretty. And so right now, Caleb Porter is in a situation where they are 1-5-1, having gone through CONCACAF. They've only got 4 points. They've only scored 5 goals in 7 matches. There's some young talent there with the Revs, but Caleb Porter is talking about other things and other causes and things like that. And it is a long slog already in New England after 7 matches. And you're already 3 points behind the rest of the pack at 1-5-1, and you're not scoring any goals. We mentioned how San Jose isn't scoring. You look at New England right now, and New England is the worst offense in Major League Soccer. Dallas has scored 6 goals. New England has not. New England has scored only 5 goals so far this season through 7 matches. Bottom of the Eastern Conference. And it is, you want long slog, I'll give you long slogs. And that's why I think that I think that it's probably Nico Estevez in Dallas. Then that's why I put Luchi Gonzalez off to the side, because San Jose might just be preoccupied and Luchi's going to have to deal with what he's got until the summer window. Then if something happens after the summer window, you bring folks in and then things don't change, then maybe you make a change. Caleb Porter at 1-5-1. You wonder how much patience Robert Kraft is going to have for something like this. And New England is just, the talent seems to be there in spots, but bringing it together to score seems to be the issue right now with the worst offense in Major League Soccer right now.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. They're a -8 in goal difference.
You ain't scoring, you ain't winning, basically, is what you're looking at.
Not good, they're in the bottom table. They have 1 win. And if I'm looking at their roster, their 1 win was against Charlotte.
Yeah, that was the guarantee.
Yes, that was the one. Boom. You got that. Great. You have 1 tie. You got 5 losses.
Right.
5 losses. That's not good. That is really bad. And that's why I said I think Caleb Porter, if something doesn't click pretty soon, he might be on the chopping block there for a little bit, because it's not looking good for y'all. And also too, you tied Chicago at home, and also they scored first. Chicago scored first at home against you. Yeah. You had to come back, scored again, and then you couldn't do anything in the second half. That's not good.
Yeah.
Not at all.
You mentioned Nick Cushing from NYC, and I think that in our discussions that we've had with Dylan Butler, it's pretty much the same thought. You're looking at Nick Cushing, and they got the win that they needed, and so that's why I think that maybe Nick Cushing has had a bit of a stay for the moment. So if you're looking at like the top 5, I think that Cushing might be toward the 4 or the 5 slot with those. 8 points. And you lost your first 3 matches of the season. 23 wasn't a good year, and they missed the playoffs for the first time in 2015. But I think that if we look at things in a recency kind of an hourglass, that's why I think that Nick Cushing is toward the end of this top 5, much as Luchi is, but it's for different reasons. And the other guy that we talk about a lot is Gary Smith up in Nashville. And obviously there are expectations in Nashville each and every single time. But right now in the East, You are next to last. One win. You have a 1 win in 7 matches. You have 4 draws. You've scored 8 goals in 7 matches. And without Hani Mukhtar, I would shudder to think what you would be offensively and points-wise. You've given up 13. A lot of folks have given up 13. A lot of folks have given up double-digit goals in 7 matches. So if you look at how high-flying and how high-scoring things are, 3, 6, 7, 8. 8 teams in the Eastern Conference. 8 of the 15 have given up double-digit goals. So, it is what it is with Nashville and Joe Willis and Elliot Panico. That is one of the tenets of Gary Smith has always been his defense. And I think that what we're seeing is when you have someone like Walker Zimmerman who is injured and is out of that lineup for a team that was built down the spine, you're having problems trying to figure out what to do at the back, combined with not scoring as prolifically as you have in the past. And that is lending itself to Gary probably being on the hot seat because they gave up 9 goals in their last 3 matches. They've only got 1 clean sheet so far in the 7 matches this year. And that was in the opening match. So you're staring at Nashville, I think, in a top 5. So if you were to take those 5 names, and look at the 1 through 5, it might be Nico Estevez, Caleb Porter, Gary Smith, or Nick Cushing in the 3 and the 4. And I think just because of the other issues that John Fisher is dealing with, that's why I think that Luchi Gonzalez might be number 5 on that list this week. Obviously, since we are 20% into the schedule and we're having hot seat discussions, obviously things are going to change as we go. But right now, 20% into the schedule. We're only 1/5 of the way in the schedule. That's what I'm looking at as the top 5. And if you want to put them in an order, that would be kind of an order that I would look at, taking into account the what's going on in each of those societies and what might be at play to keep folks from making a move as opposed to going ahead and taking the plunge 7 matches into a season.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that's pretty valid. And it's hard to have these conversations. Obviously, it's still early, but even though it is still early, some of these matches could come back to bite you later on because you didn't get the win that you needed at home and you ended up tying instead, or you lost. That's not good.
No. So we'll look at the weekend that will be coming up tomorrow. We'll start that off with Nico coming up at 10:30, and we'll play Cliffhanger. And then obviously with Weekend Whip Around on Friday, we'll get into that a little deeper. You got to catch up with Ashley Osiecki at Charlotte, and it looks like you're going to tape something with Mike Jeffries a little later on.
We will. We'll tape something around tomorrow afternoon. Is what it's looking like. I'm still waiting to confirm a time with him. But we'll catch up with him about the craziness that was the Rhode Island FC match.
No doubt. And so Mike Jeffries, friend of the show, and thanks to Charlotte for answering back so quickly in trying to talk about the magic of the cup. So we're going to tape something with Mike Jeffries tomorrow, and we'll post that to the network as he gets ready to get out of Open Cup for another week and head into USL League One. We've got the official word now from Columbus Crew, plus quotes, which makes it that much more special. So it is officially official. Crew and Wilfred Nancy have agreed to a contract extension. Tim Bezbachenko, president and GM, announced today. 8th full-time coach, first season, 3rd MLS Cup championship, tied a franchise record with 57 points, 67 regular season goals, first time pacing the league in the category, led the league in set club records in many major statistical categories for performance at home. Tim Bezbachenko then follows along with a paragraph of quotes. Then Wilfred Nancy follows with a paragraph of structured quotes. Then statistics with Wilfred Nancy, 24-10-13, 5-1 in the postseason. First CONCACAF Champions Cup semifinals berth. Defeated Dynamo in the round of 16, Tigres in the quarters, becoming the only MLS team to defeat a Liga MX club in the tournament's history after hosting and not winning the first leg of the series, and the first to claim a penalty shootout victory against a Liga MX side in Mexico. As an MLS head coach, Nancy, 51-30-28, 6-2 in the postseason. Once again, remember that they picked him up from CF Montreal in the 21-22 season. So that was where Wilfred Nancy was brought into the discussion for taking the Columbus gig. As we continue to, I'm scanning the release to see if there's anything else. Let's see. Club best regular season record in Montreal. 6 players named to Canada's final roster in the 22 FIFA World Cup. And it goes back into his career. There you go. So officially official that they've agreed to a contract extension, no length given. But you end up with officially official quotes from President and GM Tim Bezbatchenko and from Wilfred Nancy, and the pretty picture of the contract extension with a signature. So Wilfred Nancy locked in for X number of years, not knowing how many numbers X is, but Wilfred Nancy staying in Columbus with the Crew. Emilio Nancy surprising, thinking him going to Europe. And I think he will eventually if his successes continue here in Major League Soccer. And I don't think that it would be the first. I mean, it won't be the first time, wouldn't be the last time that there would be interest from the European theater on an MLS coach. But if Wilfred Nancy continues to be as successful as he's been in Columbus, do not be surprised if folks reach out. Maybe an opportunity in Ligue 1 or something like that. He gets a chance to go home. And so we'll see what happens. But Wilfred Nancy is locked in for X number of years in an extension for Columbus Crew. So how's that for breaking news this morning? More of a developing story involving the additions of the quotes. Thanks to everybody who, by the way, went to a Brewhouse Pub last night and got to catch up with the 10th anniversary celebration of Atlanta having a Major League Soccer franchise. Jason and Sandy McAfee were there hosting at the Brewhouse, and they caught up with Chris Winkler, the director of communications for Atlanta United. Greg Garza was there. He was a guest for a while. Mike Conti was there. He was a guest for a while. Supporters groups represented. They each had members of their own supporters groups there to discuss the supporters' perspective. So it was very, very cool to be there for that before Jason had AST last night. So it was a fun time at Brewhouse. And thanks to everybody who was there. The boss and I ended up getting there for dinner and seeing everybody there. So it was great to see everybody there that made it. And thanks for showing your support for the 10th anniversary of Major League Soccer being announced in Atlanta, complete with helicopter, soccer ball, all those kinds of things. And so we've grown from that to where we are now. So very, very cool last night and a fun time had by all. And Hutch, when it comes to Wilfred Nancy, you are probably correct. X number of years for Y number of dollars. Yes. So the variables undisclosed by club and by individuals. So we do know they've agreed, hadn't been signed. So maybe there's still some billable hours that have to be made when it comes to Wilfred Nancy, but it has been agreed to. Yes, I will hang out with you more. I will sit at the cool kids table here at the Crew lunch and training facility. I will hang out with the cool kids for the foreseeable future in Columbus. But yeah, we'll start getting into the weekend that will be starting tomorrow. Once again, Jason will join us at 9:30, and then Nico will join us at 10:30 to kind of break everything down and get you ready for the weekend. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, and get you ready for the day. And any other news that we might have missed coming across the board. By the way, Portsmouth back in the championship after 12 years. And as someone who is a member of the Pompey Trust, it's a very, very cool day. I remember Portsmouth going into administration, and it was pretty bad. And you had all of the fans getting together to try to save the club, thus the trust. And it's something that we continue to renew on a yearly basis. But I also remember when Michael Eisner, the Disney guy, the guy that used to run Disney a long time ago, wanted to purchase the franchise. And each member of the Pompey Trust was sent basically a 50-plus page document that we had to review when it came to Eisner's philosophy, when it came to what his intentions were, what it came to what his level of investment was going to be, and how he was going to approach the future as the owner at Portsmouth. Every member of the Pompey Trust had to vote yay or nay when Eisner was going to purchase the club. And after administration and the FA Cup final in the 2010s, you end up with the relegation. And then Michael Eisner, we voted in May of 2017. Eisner took over the club August the 3rd of 2017. And so Eisner right now is the owner chair, and they have now made their way back to the championship for next season. When you have a 50-plus page document and you're trying to sit there and go, okay, do I let this gentleman take over? It was an interesting read. I remember sitting at the kitchen table, breaking everything down when it came to Portsmouth and what Michael Eisner wanted to do. My one concern was that there was no mention of anything involving the academy or anything on the youth side to continue to grow the game internally. So that was my one concern. But right now, Portsmouth has made their way back to the championship all the way up after 12 years of struggling and grappling and made their way through. But very, very cool. Alex still hasn't met Mike Conti. Man. Love to have been there, busy playing actual soccer. Yeah, so hopefully that you got your cool bath or your massage once you got home, Alex, and you stood in the hot shower and all the muscles responded the way that they were supposed to. But yeah, Portsmouth is back in the second division. So very, very cool stuff there. A couple of other headlines. Samuel Eto'o claims he is a victim of a CAF campaign before his match fixing hearing. And the Cameroonian FA's president's lawyers have lodged a complaint with FIFA. They claim the general secretary of CAF has breached the FIFA ethics code during the investigation. Ed Aarons at The Guardian says Eto'o's lawyers have lodged a complaint with FIFA alleging that the investigation was open to create negative publicity about Eto'o, who had been president of the Cameroonian Football Federation since December of 2021. In August, CAF opened the investigation after they said that they'd received written statements from several Cameroonian football stakeholders to look into and investigate certain alleged improper conduct by Samuel Eto'o. Those believed to have included allegations he was involved in match fixing after a recording of him speaking to someone alleged to be the president of a Cameroonian club was made public. So we'll keep an eye on the alleged match fixing with what's going on with Samuel Eto'o. And out of Georgia, not this Georgia, but the Republic of Georgia, Georgian footballers are protesting against Tbilisi's foreign influence bill. This is from Daniel Boffey, the chief reporter at The Guardian. Leading players, and I mention this also because of a particular player that is attached to Atlanta United, who's probably keeping an eye on this stuff. Leading players in Georgia's national men's football team have come out in support of pro-EU protests sparked by a controversial, quote, foreign influence bill criticized for mirroring a repressive Russian law. Riot police clashed in recent nights with large rallies of folks protesting outside the parliament building in Tbilisi against a controversial foreign influence bill, which it is claimed will hamper the country's application for EU membership. Jaba Kankava, the captain of the national football team, qualified for Euro 2024, we know this, posted a picture on Instagram of two protesters staring down riot police, and he added an expletive. A host of other national team players, including Kavica Kvaratskhelia for Napoli, Georgi Mamardashvili, who is a keeper for Valencia, also posted what appeared to be coordinated messages on social media. And so David Kazarashvili, who served as the defense minister at the time of the 2008 Russian invasion of the country, said, quote, the footballers' decision to back the protests may prove to be a decisive intervention coming just weeks after millions took to the streets to celebrate Euro 2024 qualification. Under a draft bill introduced on Parliament Monday, organizations receiving more than 20% of their funding from abroad will be required to register as being agents of foreign influence, with fines for those who do not comply. And so So keep an eye on that too. But you have national players from the Republic of Georgia speaking out about what's going on currently in their own country. So once again, keep an eye on that. And once again, we talked about yesterday with Everton, the takeover bidder is 777. They got an extension to repay the £160 million note that they are currently sitting on. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and what to watch and where to watch it before we go. And once again, thanks to everybody who hung out this morning, and thanks to Tyler for dropping by as he always does. Tomorrow it's Jason at 9:30, and it is Nico Moreno at 10:30. So what to watch, where to watch it, gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we go. Let's take a peek at Soccer on TV, and we'll figure out what's going on with the Soccer on TV. Obviously, you've got the two Champions League matches, and one of them is going to be on CBS. So if you have a favorite CBS affiliate that has a 4 o'clock newscast, unless it's airing on a subsequent channel someplace else, you're not going to get your 4 o'clock news on your favorite CBS affiliate. So here we go. Manchester City, Real Madrid is on big CBS. So that's the one that you'll be watching on your favorite CBS affiliate in the afternoon. 2 to NA has Bayern Munich and Arsenal at 3. Unimas is simulcasting. Asian Champions League already happened this morning. Argentine Primera at 6:30 tonight on Paramount Plus. Brasileiro, 7 matches on Paramount Plus. 3 at 6, 2 at 7, 2 at 8:30. Champions League, once again, UEFA on their website and on Paramount Plus. Both matches at 3 o'clock. USsoccer.com, MLSsoccer.com, USLsoccer.com. All of the matchups, all 11 of them in the Open Cup. VIX has your simulcast for what's going on in UEFA Champions League. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we go. Because once again, remember, the transfer window for Major League Soccer closes Tuesday. Don't know how many teams will be making some moves, but the opportunity is there to make moves. And we'll see if anybody makes any moves, especially over the weekend in Major League Soccer. Arsenal expected to revive their interest in Douglas Luiz this summer from Aston Villa. Fulham have identified Chelsea's Trevor Chalobah as a potential replacement for Tosin Adarabioyo, who's expected to leave when his contract expires at the end of the year. Manchester United have switched their attention to Nice's defender Jean-Claire Todibo after being put off by the price tag of Everton's Jared Branthwaite. Jadon Sancho open to restarting his Manchester United career, returning to the club if Eric Ten Hag leaves. That's from iNews. United want to sell Antony this summer. That's from Rudy Galletti. Leverkusen had put a €150 million price tag on 20-year-old midfielder Florian Wirtz amid interest from Barca and Real Madrid. Spurs hoping to extend the loan of Timo Werner rather than triggering their option to buy clause in the existing deal. Arsenal and Liverpool interested in Ecuadorian center back Willian Pacho, who plays for Eintracht Frankfurt. That's from Florian Plettenberg at Sky Germany. Arsenal are going to make Eddie Nketiah available for transfer this summer, but they're going to ask for £40 million. Spurs considering a move for Shakhtar Donetsk midfielder Georgi Sudakov. Spurs listening to offers for Brian Heel in the summer. Newcastle have renewed their interest in Forest midfielder Morgan Gibbs-White. Keep an eye on the relegation situation for Forest. Liverpool are set to appoint David Woodfine as assistant sporting director to Richard Hughes as he returns to Anfield less than a year after leaving the club. United opening talks with Kobe Mainoo over a new contract this summer. 3-letter paper, take the information at your own peril. Everton keen to extend Dominic Calvert-Lewin's contract, which it runs out at the end of the year. Wrexham want to turn 22-year-old keeper Arthur Okonkwo's loan from Arsenal into a permanent deal. Juve will listen to offers for Federico Chiesa, who has been linked with Liverpool and Newcastle after disagreements between Chiesa and Allegri. So that is your gossip, rumor, and your innuendo heading into the morning. There was something else that I wanted to address really quickly before we go. And it was a point that was made in the Twitch pitch, and it was by David. And it's about our friends at Apple TV working for Major League Soccer. David said, one thing I think of and forget to mention is the local broadcast crew. Jillian, Dan Gargan, Mo Adu, Kevin Egan, all taking big roles in Apple and national broadcast. Kudos to the media partners for getting real talent from the outset. Absolutely true. And Emilio asked what Dan Gargan's doing. Dan is making a home for himself back home in St. Louis, and he's doing things with amateur clubs there in St. Louis. And he's somewhat active in the media scene, but he's doing it in his home of St. Louis. But to be able to look up on Apple TV, and you get to see Kevin hosting 360, you get to see Mo being paired with Keith Costigan. And it was good to catch up with Mo as we did this past weekend as Mo and Keith were getting ready to call the match against Philadelphia. And Jillian taking the big role there at Apple TV as well as one of the studio anchors for the programming that's there. It's great to see all of those familiar faces up there, and great to see them succeeding on a national level with Apple TV. So I tip my hat to Apple TV for them bringing Mo and Kevin and Jillian into the fold here as a part of their Major League Soccer coverage. But yeah, no, David, you're right on. You're spot on when it comes to what folks are looking at when it comes to Apple TV. And as we always kind of say, the South's got something to say, and they're doing it on the national level with the season pass and Apple TV with Jillian Sakovits, Kevin Egan, and Mo Adu. Before we go, Maddie, any other thoughts running around in your brain on a Wall Pass Wednesday? And it doesn't necessarily have to be soccer. What else is going on?
Ooh,
I think I've stumped her.
I know you mentioned without not soccer, and I was like, huh?
Yeah,
I was like,
it's a Wall Pass Wednesday. I mean, we talked about anniversary gifts. We talked about anniversary gifts for marriages for 33 and 16 and things like that. So, So whatever else is on your mind before we go, because like I said, it's a Wall Pass Wednesday. Anything on the table?
Well, it's a great week or year to be a woman in sports. Very excited to see Caitlin Clark do what she is already doing and killing it. And then in the WNBA, it's going to be a lot of fun. Been keeping up with all that this week too. That's pretty cool.
Yep, and giving Andrea Carter full credit at ESPN for what she's been able to do in a very short period of time up there. And I remember covering her as a senior at Buford High School in women's hoops. And you could kind of see that there was something there in a future for Andrea, very, very polished on camera as a high school senior. So very, very cool to see her shine and to have the social and TV awareness where she could say something somewhat tongue-in-cheek about TV coverage as the one camera, I guess the steady cam, is closing in on Caitlin Clark. And Andrea says that, Caitlin Clark has to sit there and smile like she can't hear what we're talking to her about because it's going out over the loudspeakers there at the WNBA draft. So very, very cool to have somebody like Andrea really doing well there at the four-letter with all the coverage that she does for basketball and not just on the women's side. So very, very cool to see Andrea there as well. Once again, tomorrow, 9:05, and we will have Jason around 9:30. We'll have Nico at 10:30. We'll break everything down with Thursday thoughts. And somebody's texting Maddie, as they always do. Right there at the end of the show, as we're trying to say goodbye, somebody sends a notification that Maddie has to pay attention to. And so very, very cool, once again, that all of you guys got to hang out with us on a Wall Pass Wednesday. We'll be back at it again in less than 22 hours. And we'll do it again here on the network. And once again, we'll have the interview up from Decatur FC. That'll be coming up a little later this morning, maybe early afternoon, after we get everything posted to the app. So set your notifications, and we do a bit of a catch-up with the principal of the principal for Decatur FC as they're getting ready for play in the WPSL. So, Maddie, if you would please, since it is the end of the show and we're past 11:05, if you would please go ahead and send us home.
Thank you guys so much for watching or listening or watching or both to today's episode. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for a whole lot more. And that is the end of the show, which means John gets to do this.
Mucha Flacci, I'll play it safe. Back in less than 22.